Hi, everyone. Hope you had a great Memorial Day. It has been a hot one, if nothing else, and actually a record setter for many locations, especially in the Bay Area, had several record highs hit. And for our local area, downtown Sacramento, ranking number 3 of the hottest Memorial Days on record. So I want to take you kind of through the whole process of how things are going to unfold with the very hot temperatures as well as the record heat that's on the way. Yeah, more records are likely going to be falling here in the next couple of days. So again, thank you for joining me on this Memorial Day, a very hot one, getting a real taste of summer, unofficial start to summer today. A lot of folks are out at the waterways. One thing to keep in mind is all of this heat is also up in the Sierra, so it's melting a lot of the snow coming down the hill. Waterways are very fast, very cold in this time of year. Unfortunately, we just hear of so many tragedies. So just if you go to the beach, the river, just be aware that the water is moving very fast. All right, let's go ahead and turn things around here and take a look at some graphics where we can start to get a sense of really what we're talking about here. So for downtown Sacramento, you can see one of the hottest Memorial Days on record. We hit a high of 100 for downtown, and that was also tied a record for downtown Sacramento for this date, May 25th. So we're gonna hit number 3 in the record books for this time of year. So if you thought it was hot, well, you were right about that. Now temperatures are starting to cool down ever so slightly, not a ton, but just enough to start to take the edge off just a bit. Computer just catching up with me here. We're in the mid to upper 90s still. Now keep in mind, here we are, and it is 7:48, and we're still at 98 degrees for Stockton. Haven't cooled down barely at all. High today in Stockton, 100 degrees. Winds are going to be not so much a problem because of fire danger, but I will tell you, it's just not strong enough to pull in that cooler Pacific air. And even there, San Francisco hitting a high today of 90. SFO with a record high. Hearing from you, Rob, saying too much too soon. Oh, sound isn't working? Let me see. I think the sound is working. Yeah, maybe. I know with me working from home, my settings are all messed up. I have to turn it down when I'm on the air and then turn it back up for all the Zoom calls. So yeah, all right. I think we got the sound working okay here. All right, so here's a look at what we're expecting for tomorrow. And you'll notice that these highs are well above average. Anywhere from the 80s for the Bay Area and the Sierra to right around the mid 90s to low 100s for the foothills and much of the valley. Keep in mind also that we will continue to see that excessive heat warning in place through Thursday. Peak heat is 4 to 5 o'clock in the afternoon. A lot of people think that right around noon, 2 o'clock is the peak heat. In some places across the country, that is true, but not here. It takes the environment just a bit to warm up because we've got those cooler overnight lows, and so it just takes a little bit more time to get things cranking here. You know, if you're sensitive to the heat, and especially for a lot of us this time of year, we just haven't built that resistance yet like we do at the end of the summer. You want to limit your time outdoors from about 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. because the possibility of getting heat illness runs a bit higher. And that's the reason why we have a bit more of a risk for some heat illnesses this time of year. We're going to be putting out this heat risk from Tuesday through Thursday. This is from the National Weather Service, and they've taken all the weather models and all the forecasted highs, and you can see that we're going to be in the high to very high risk for almost everyone throughout the valley for the period of 3 days. Now, here's the interesting thing. The reason why I'm not calling for near record highs through Thursday is because the records are awful, like 107 degrees kind of awful, and we're not going to be quite there yet. But for Tuesday, we'll see some of these forecasts compared to the record highs, and you can see for Sacramento Executive, the forecast is 102, the record 101. For downtown Sacramento, 104, record is 102. Stockton 103, record 101, and then for Modesto 103, record is 102. So generally, we're going to be hitting those records for tomorrow. Now that is going to also follow on Wednesday. And you'll be able to see that, again, for Wednesday's records compared to the forecast, it looks very likely we will indeed be hitting those record highs for Wednesday. Thursday, once again,
temperatures are going to be very hot, but our records are just really insane. Thursday, so thankfully we won't be hitting those records. Air quality, did want to put this into play. We've been seeing some really good air quality. Not a lot of people on the roads, everybody kind of keeping home, staying safe, and now more and more people are starting to hit the roads as things start to reopen. And what you'll notice is that for El Dorado, Placer, and Stanislaus County, we've got unhealthy for sensitive groups starting to develop. You might start to notice a bit of that brownish haze in the air in the coming days, and that's because of this weather pattern right here. What we've got is a high pressure ridge building across the west near record heat for a couple of days, and then what happens is a couple of those lows are working in conjunction to kind of kick that high off to the east, and relief will be coming. I mean, I'm talking big time relief coming, like highs in the 80s and even a chance for rain in the forecast. So before we get to all that, though, we have to continue to monitor some of these big weather headlines that we'll be watching over the next couple of days. Record heat likely for Tuesday and Wednesday, still very hot on Thursday. And then rivers are especially dangerous right now. That is the place a lot of people like to go, especially with local pools not open. There's not a lot of choices because we haven't met the standards for the pools to be reopening. So now we got to figure out another place to go, right? They're dangerous right now in particular because of the amount of snow melt and how fast and cold things are running. And then we've got our air quality problems. And I talked about that. Unhealthy for sensitive groups for Placer, El Dorado, and Stanislaus County. Highs today, look at this. Oh, wow, what a scorcher. 101 for Fairfield, 100 for Stockton, 98 for Modesto, and just shy of hitting the triple digits for Sacramento. But when you look at San Francisco with a high of 90, that was a record setter for them. Normally they're in the low 60s, mid 60s, and today 90. So many people don't have air conditioning over there either. And then right around the mid 80s to near 90 for the foothills, but near 80 for the Sierra. Again, lots of melting snow heading down the hill. All right, let's take a look at the Gilmore backyard. Now, things have been really, really nice, but the thing that I want to point out here is look at the weather timeline. Our sunset is at 8:20, but in the 8 o'clock hour, we're still sitting in the 90s. It's not until we get into the 9 o'clock hour that we start to drop into the 80s, and finally, by the time we get to early tomorrow morning, we're in the upper 60s to right around 70. Our sunrise is at 5:47. That will be the coolest time of the day. I know somebody was mentioning, should I run? Well, if you can run early in the day, that's going to be the best time to do it. Otherwise, it's just going to really get very hot and uncomfortable to be outside unless you are accustomed to that type of heat. Again, we have that excessive heat warning in place through Thursday because of this weather pattern, bringing the dangerous heat, and winds just aren't going to provide much. The one other thing that I want to point out here is with this type of heat, we also, this time of year, have a particular risk for, I'm going to just close some of these notifications. We have a particular risk for grass fires, and it's been dry. When you look at the normal rainfall we should have almost 18 inches of rain. Right now we have under 10 inches, putting us 8 inches below normal. Last year, do you remember this? In May, we had so much rain. It was a record-setting May for rain. We had 24 inches of rain. Not this year. We had a little bit of rain, but just not enough. Rob wanting to know, what is the record for number of triple digits in May? I'd have to look that up. I don't know that off the top of my head. I'd have to go and look at a different computer. Working from home has been very challenging, trying to operate as a family and also do my work from one computer here. Again, so for those of you that are just joining us, today was a record setter for downtown Sacramento, tying the record at 100 degrees, and that will put us at number 3 in the record books for hottest Memorial Days, the hottest ever, 103 back in 1910. Of course, this is kind of a record that you have to keep track of in a weird way because it's not by the date. It's by whenever Memorial Day falls. Our current temperature is still quite warm, and it's going to take a while for things to cool down for tonight. We're still at 98 degrees for Stockton, not much airflow coming through there. We are finally dropping to 90 for Sacramento, 94 still for Fairfield, and down to 74 for San Francisco after hitting a high today of 90. 60s to near 70 for the Tahoe Basin. Lows tonight are going to be falling into the mid 40s, so that will be very refreshing. But a hot day even up top for the Sierra by all means. Again, part of the problem is we just don't have access to a lot of wind coming through. Anything that has been developing has been more of a light northwest wind. Those are dry and warming winds. Usually at night we start to pick up a light southwest breeze, and that's what's happening. But it just won't be strong enough to keep us from hitting those highs in the 100s. So even for tomorrow, what we're looking at is 103 roughly for the Sacramento Valley, northern San Joaquin Valley, although some isolated areas are going to be closer to about 105 or so. And then for the Bay Area, still in the 80s to near 90. Mid 90s to near 100 for the foothills, and for the Sierra will be right about 80. I do want to hit on, and I don't always do this when I do my Facebook Lives for any kind of weather, but because temperature is such the big story right now, I want to show you how variable we can be with our temperatures in different regions. So you see down the hill in Auburn, 95 degrees, and then you head up the hill a bit, Pollock Pines gets to 86. But one thing to keep in mind is sometimes the foothills don't cool quite as rapidly as the valley, and it may stay just a bit warmer overnight in some of the foothill locations moving into the next couple of days, like talking near 70. All right, Quincy at 87 for tomorrow. Arnold, we're at 89. Groveland 92, Tuolumne County, and then Ione at 101. So once you start heading deeper and deeper down the hill, you start getting those hotter temperatures. Now our 5-day forecast, check this out. We actually have a chance of some afternoon thunderstorms developing by Thursday. And then as we head through Friday, same situation, but by Saturday, a system starts to move inland. Look at the drop in temperatures. We go from 80s to 64 degrees. Now that's for the Tahoe Basin, but that will also play out in our 10-day forecast, and I'll show you that in just a moment. First, let's check out some of those afternoon highs across the Bay Area in the 70s and 80s across the coast, and then you head inland. Fairfield 104 for tomorrow. But again, of note are going to be those overnight lows with temperatures only dropping into the mid to upper 60s, even 70 degrees in some areas. 105 for Manteca and Tracy, as well as Stockton and Patterson and Turlock. About 103 for Modesto. Lodi at 104 for tomorrow afternoon. And as we head north of that, sunny skies, light winds. Again, that's good for any big wildfires because those spread so rapidly, or any even grass fires. But grass fires tend to be a bit more prominent this time of year just because of how quickly that fuel dries out. 98 for El Dorado Hills tomorrow, and then we hit the 100s for Oroville, Roseville, Folsom, and Galt. Even in the Delta, 104 degrees. And then we've got Davis at 102. Elk Grove, Sacramento, Vacaville at 103 degrees. Woodland is just going to feel really, just really still and hot in Woodland at 104. Same goes for Colusa, 106 up there where we've got all the walnut farms and everything. So the shade will be a necessity for tomorrow. Okay, checking out that 10-day forecast. And now you can see we've got the stretch of heat, and as I mentioned, I know that we're expecting the record highs Tuesday and Wednesday, but Thursday is still very hot. It's just that the records that day tend to be well off the mark of what we're forecasting. Just one of those anomalies there in the stretch here. Friday, we're still in the 90s, but now let's see what happens here on Saturday and Sunday. As that weather system comes through, we drop to the low 80s. In fact, we're still tracking that chance for showers coming in Monday, possibly through early Tuesday, with highs in the upper 70s to right around 80, which would put us way closer to where we should be this time of year. Normally, we should be hitting highs right around 82 degrees or so. So that's going to be far more representative of what we should usually be experiencing, which is pretty nice this time of year, I would say. So that's about it. Again, looking for near record highs for tomorrow. If we run down the possibility, it's looking very likely for many places to hit record highs for tomorrow. And again, on Wednesday, if not tie them. And then after that, Thursday will start to still be hot, but the records are just really, really off the charts. Kevin asking, great solar cooking weather. Yes, it absolutely is. You're right about that, Kevin. And I plan to do some of that, although gotta get it done early because then you have to go outside to get your meal, right?
Okay, everyone. So there's my little setup there for the live broadcast. I will see you on LNT coming up tonight at 11 o'clock. We're going to be detailing the latest on this forecast and some of the hot temperatures we're about to see for the next couple of days. Again, the best time to be outside is before 10 a.m. and then after 8 p.m. it starts to cool down a bit, but it's going to take quite some time for things to cool down with these type of temperatures. All right, everyone. Hope you had a nice Memorial Day and spent time with your family if it was safe to do so. We will see you at 11 o'clock on LNT on ABC 10.